This is Boxing Tickets NI. It is the second day in a row we're joined with a boxer down under, and finally we've got it nailed. We've planned probably quite a few times, but delighted to be joined for the very first time with Nathan Watson. How are you, Nathan?
All good, mate. Thanks very much. It's about time I actually got this meeting.
It's like obviously I know you were home and stuff. Was it the start of this year or probably towards the end of last year? And it's sort of, I guess sometimes you don't like to let people know. Sometimes you're coming home other than your friends and family. Because then the
Yep,
next
yep.
thing, that precious time you have coming home, it's spoiled by doing interviews and things like that. So, unfortunately, we obviously have to do it in Zoom. But finally, we've obviously getting the first one ticked off, and hopefully it'll be the first of many. But anybody I sort of always bring on a sort of very first time speaking to him. I've obviously followed your career since you sort of started, but I always like to know the sort of backstory. Like, I guess obviously you're 28 now, so like, what are you box? When did you start boxing? Was it, you know,
So I would have started about, I think I was about 12, but I never had my first fight. I was about 15. But I literally only walked into the gym just to do a bit of training because I was getting jealous. My mates were doing it and we were all playing in the garden and they all went and I didn't go. So I was like, well, we'll go down, we'll have a bit of crack. And and then I think I had my first fight when I was about 14, 15. So it took about 3 years because I had to lose about must have been about 15, 20 kilos before I even fought because it was pretty heavy. So bring it
it's
with me. But yeah, so about 12 us went to the gym, 15 started boxing, fighting.
it's crazy, obviously I don't know if it's a thing like a lot of boxers obviously speak to obviously Conor Wallace as well. Conor Wallace was a sort of a bit of a
Mhm.
chubby kid. It just seems to
Yep.
be sometimes like, I know boxing's the most dangerous sport in the world, but a lot of people join it as sort of like a method of sort of losing weight, or they just by chance come across it. Like at 12 years of age, getting into the gym, obviously because your mates and stuff were doing it. It's not an easy sport as well. So it's not like you could be, it's not like you could naturally kick a football or you could swim or something
Yeah.
like that. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Like I remember the first time in there, I sparred and
Yeah.
my friend's younger brother punched me in the nose, and I was like, "That's it." I was like, "No,
That's
mass, that's it,
yeah.
that's it. I'm finished." Because
Yeah.
punched me in the nose, my eyes watered. I was like, "This isn't for me." And at 12 years of age, it's a brutal, brutal sport. Like, you
Mm.
know, that couple of years obviously was your bedding in sort of period to go, do you actually like this, or am I just doing this because my mates are here?
Mm. But whenever, like, there's something about back home, whenever we do it, it's sort of like we treat it as like a youth club, something to do. Whenever we're back home, we just go in, we were mates, something, an excuse to get out of the house and go with your mates back home and a bit of training together. And you're always trying to outwork each other and all that there. And then you get asked to spar, and then that's whenever you see if anyone's really wants it or they don't want it. So,
It's like,
but
I was,
hung in there.
I was going to say boxing's probably one of the unique places, obviously, in such a short, um, sort of short distance. There's so many gyms, like, and as you say, it's like a youth club. And probably the good thing is going to a boxing club probably keeps you in the straight and narrow as well, because we all know, it doesn't matter where it's Belfast, where it's Dublin, where it's Australia. When you're a young kid sort of growing up, you either get into a sport or you get into drinking drugs and bad behavior and things like that. So in some
Yeah.
ways, probably joining a boxing club at 12 years of age has probably kept you, and it probably matured you probably very quickly as well.
Like I don't know where it would be because like I started boxing just for a bit of fun and then it got serious. Whenever I had that first fight, it was in the County Antrim Novice tournament, and I had 2 fights and 2 wins. First fight, I stopped the fella. The second fight, I won. Um, like it was, I think it was about 8 points to one. Remember, we had the point scoring back home.
Yeah.
It was like 8 points to one, and I went, "This isn't too bad," so I stuck at it, and then stuck at it anyway. But it really paid off because had to. I started getting serious, and then I was like, right, I need to actually get a job here. Like getting old, and need to get a job. So I went working in construction in Belfast, Met, um, and I got a joinery qualification. And Jerry Story and Martin Lindsay
Mm-hmm.
they were started the Belfast, and John Mahern started the Belfast Met Boxing Academy. So they came up to me and asked me, Nathan, you haven't fought in about a year and a half. Do you want to come in for us and have a fight? And I was like, no, I need to finish this joinery qualification. But thanks to the Belfast Met, they like gave me my joinery qualification. I got to go box for them, and I was in there with the likes of Aidan, Walsh, James McGivern, and so on, and took off from there. And the Belfast Met do a lot for the guys who are trying to make a future for themselves in boxing, but they haven't so they've done a great job. So thanks very much to Belfast Met for helping me out and getting there.
What obviously, what a collection of sort of boxers you're with. Obviously, we all know obviously Aidan Walsh's obviously exploits as an amateur, and obviously James McGivern there just signed the Queensbury Promotions off a stunning knockout in the SSE arena. It's so many it a couple of opportunities to fight in the SSE, and it never happened, and sort of fight week and stuff like that. And then he gets a chance to sort of fight on the card, knowing that a win gets him signed to Queensbury, and stunning knockout, probably one of the best knockouts we'll probably see this year. But like that experience of sort of growing up around people like that, particularly when you were a late bloomer to the sport, probably helped to mature you on a lot more sooner.
Yeah, 100%. So whenever we were running about in the Belfast Met, it was sort of like, shit, we'll have training here in half an hour. What are we going to do? But it was always like, as soon as we went into the gym and training, it was like we were trying to outwork each other, who's going to train harder. So it's a great atmosphere to be around. Aidan Walsh, still one of my really good friends, mates back home. He texted me straight as soon as I got out of the ring the other night. He texted me, "Well done," and so I was thanks to him for messaging that and paying attention to it. But everyone's doing great in Ireland back home, and for me to get the support from the likes of you guys, yourself, and everyone back home, the support's unbelievable. So whenever I'm back home last year, it was next level class. So it's great.
I'm sure it's something you're probably, you're probably nearly homesick, they always say like you sort of like a homesickness nearly probably every day. Like if you're obviously you're over in Australia now about 5 years, is that correct? Or maybe just over 5 years. So like,
Yeah,
you
just
start
got
to get used to it.
on the my sixth year now. So, well, I'm used to it now. I think I'm pretty settled because I've got two dogs and I'm running about. So I'm like, shit, I can't bring M's home. So I'm like, I'm stuck here. But it's a great life. It's great people. It's like a pretty good atmosphere to be around, and have the likes of the people over here who me and my missus just get off the boat, and the help that we have got and the support we have got from just me walking in the gym behind, and it's unbelievable. And everyone just wants to help you and push on. So like it's a great atmosphere and a great life.
That's the unique thing obviously with boxing. It's like Owen Corrigan, obviously, who's just just signed pro there. He obviously the same, like the gym he's went into, he didn't know anybody into it, and then at the second session they were offering to get him digs and got him a job and things like that. Like people in boxing always want to see others doing well. Everybody will always go the extra mile for you. And that's probably what's unique obviously about boxing. And it's the most dangerous sport in the world, but it's probably the most enjoyable sport at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. Like the likes of whenever I came over here, I started off in Conor Walsh's gym, obviously. Started off there and changed gyms anyway, changed promoter, but like he was there on Saturday night, the last fight, and coming down, we were sitting talking to each other, having good, like, just he was congratulating me. So that's like always wanting to see other boxers do well, and he had a great win the other week against the Papillon guy, or I don't know how to say his exact name, but he's from New Zealand.
Papillon.
Jerome Papillon, yeah. And he's another great fighter, but Conor's doing absolutely unbelievable. And
funny actually, Conor won for the first time a couple of weeks ago as well. Like similar to yourself, it's sort of following the career and everything else to get. And then I think he just said to me, right, let's finally get this interview done. So I think I'll get to the stage now. I'm trying to think what Irish fighters I haven't interviewed in Australia. The only one probably I haven't interviewed now is TJ.
TJ,
yeah, I've done Dennis, I've done Darragh, I've done yourself, I've done Conor. Obviously, I've done Conor Quinn, who was out there and come back. So I think TJ is the only one now.
The next one, yeah.
And we planned to do that previously, it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, he had a great win there, a great fight against Inoue the other week. And fair play to him because he put up a good fight until he had a bit of nerve damage or something in his back. But he's back. I think he might be in Adelaide or Perth or something like that over there, over that way.
I think
But
so. I just call it Australia these days because it's like anywhere. Like, even
but his
when I go down south to Dublin, I get lost. You know, as like I don't know streets or don't know where places are. You know, I asked someone, "Oh, how far is Kerry from Dublin?" Like 3 hours, and I'm going, "Really?" You know, I didn't think Ireland, obviously in general, was so big, and you know, when you
no,
go to
it's the same
Dublin,
as it's the same as me. I don't know how long it takes to get to Belfast to Dublin because you have the Nicells down there. So I was like,
yeah,
I need to make way here and drive down. But no, TJ's manager actually, Mike Almitra, he's actually plays a close part in my gym. He's got all our other, we have other internationals in the gym, and he manages them too. So he's actually in the gym quite often. So he's in the gym just the week before TJ's fight, and yeah, and he's done a great job with TJ. TJ deserved that, and hopefully it'd be good to see him go again.
definitely at 37. There's no sign of sort of stopping for him as well. Um, Obviously, as an amateur, you obviously, you know, it probably propelled you well for obviously professional boxing. You know, I would sort of say to a lot of people nowadays that amateur boxing, professional boxing, they're two completely, you know, they're supposed to be run in comparison, sort of like amateur to professionals are sort of should be a gradual step, but like they're two completely different sports these days.
Yeah, two completely different sports. Like I never thought about it, and then whenever I was actually, because I started off in Saints Amateur Boxing Club in Belfast, and there was Harry Senior, Harry Junior, and Liam Cunningham.
Mhm.
And I remember I walked in and I said to them, "Listen, I'm heading off to Australia. I'm gonna try and turn pro." And then Liam turned around to me and he says, "Man, are you sure about this?" And then I was like, "Yeah, why not? I think it's about the right time. 22 or 20 about that age. I think it's about 22." And he said to me, "Like you're going to be fighting men here." And I was like, "All right, Liam." And I was like, more or less, I just said to him, "Shut up." and then um, and then I think it was about a couple of fights in. I went, he wasn't joking. Like you're in there fighting men and hard heads and hard bodies, and it's a different game. You need to slow the pace down. It's not like 3 3-minute rounds of jumping about and like fainting, touching the way we grew up in Ireland. And it's we need to slow the pace down and get used to our rounds. And it's different games, and it's like you learn more as you go on. If you didn't have an amateur background pedigree, like you wouldn't click to it quick enough.
Is it sort of true? You know, I spoke to a couple of ones sort of, you know, it's boxed in Australia. I don't want to sort of give anything away, and I hope it's not disgracing anybody in Australia. But sometimes in Australian boxing, it's either, and obviously, I know you obviously you suffered obviously at feet by stoppage and things like that. Like sometimes it can be very brutal the fact that you either knock your opponent out or you get knocked out. It's sort of that that's sort of weird because not that it's weird, but like you don't really have a journey. There's no real journeyman in Australia. You know, it's like you know, it's that completely different to what it is in like the UK and stuff like that as well. Like it, it's it's unusual, sort of probably from what you'd be used to from watching, like you know,
Yeah, yeah, back home and stuff like that. You're hitting the nail on the head there. Like the domestic fights over here aren't easy. Like there's times you're hitting her. I've lost a fight before, and I'm hitting a guy so much that my hands were killing me, and I was like, "Get me out of here!" So like they're hot, like sort of hard men, hard keep coming forward because you got the likes of New Zealand and stuff over here too, and they're not easy people to fight either. So to see the difference domestic level here back the domestic level back home. I'm not like not taking anything away from all that there, but to have a good management team behind you as well plays a massive fact.
and particularly like
And
you people that switch over from MMA and stuff, and then you've obviously Thailand and stuff not so far away. Like it's you're sort of
yeah,
going, you know, at times you're going like you didn't think it was such a pool of fighters, and then you get someone you're fighting, and you maybe look at the record and you go, oh, you know what, this might be easy, and you get in the ring and you're going, who is this guy? Like, you know, this isn't the
100%.
person that's regular supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%. Like you're hitting them and you're going, why they keep walking forward? Why they're not just giving up? But then if you look back at their, like I know they have the losses, but look back and see how many times they've been dropped or knocked out, and they don't be knocked or dropped out. So but it changes the fighter, if you're fighting them like myself, if you're fighting them, and it changes your attitude to realize that like you're not in it for shits and giggles. Like this is a serious game. So like Liam Cunningham saying to me about fighting men, that's a proper thing about fighting men. You're in there to fight men. You're not there to lay back. Like they wouldn't mind winning. They probably get a little knockout bonus for you winning, for them as winning.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Obviously, when you went to Australia, and, you sort of had your first fight, and then COVID sort of happens, and I know COVID's happened for everybody in the world, but like that must have been tough for you. The fact that you travelled halfway around the world to Australia, you obviously wanted to turn pro, you get your professional debut the way COVID hits. Like at that stage, where you sort of going, because I know Conor Quinn moved you 2-0, COVID hit, and then he came home. So
Yeah,
like for you,
Connor was with me in the gym and stuff when we were training. Whenever I'd hit, I was a brutal time for every boxer. Like I think I had one fight in 2 years. So I literally about to jump on the plane to head back home. Me and the missus I was like, we'll jump on. And I was like, it's not working out. And then I got a meeting with Angelo Ricardo at Ace Boxing. Met him. He offered me a spar with Liam Paro. Sparred with Liam Paro, and he just won the IBF world title there. And Angelo offered me a contract after that, and I met John Bastable, my coach and United Fight Team, and just kicked on from there.
that resolve, they sort of, they stick about, it's paying off for you, and obviously, it's paid off for you massively now. Like, that could have been, your dream was to be, to go out there and turn professional, you get your debut, COVID sort of happens, you're sort of going, you're now sort of reaping the benefits of obviously making that decision at deciding this stage, and over 4 years sort of down the line, sort of since, well, 4.5 years since sort of COVID sort of happened, but like you're reaping your benefits from that now, and say you're stuck in Australia now because you've obviously had dogs and stuff like that. You can't just pop on a plane and bring them home. But it's a decision you've made, and long term it'll be the right decision you've made.
Yeah, it was sort of we persevered. Like there was a couple of times, not even just that after COVID. There's a couple of times you sort of hesitate and you go, "Oh, should we go here? Should we stay?" And we persevered and stuck by it, and it's working out now. Like I won an Australasian title after that. That was good. And then I fought for I requested the Australian title straight after that, and they got me it, but I fell up short, and then pushed on again. I took about nearly a year out there just to sort of regroup and see where were we at. Like I was another 10 year thinking about going home, and regrouped, sat down, and I requested a fight again, and had a good win.
You're the first obviously Irishman to win obviously that national Australian title as well. Like
Yeah.
obviously that's your own bit of history as well. And I know that obviously you have bigger aims and bigger goals, but like no one can take that away from you. The fact that anybody else, any other Irish boxer wins that belt now, they're second, and nobody remembers second. Obviously, everybody remembers first. Like that was obviously a special moment for you.
Oh, it was great. It's actually I didn't. My dad all came over for it, and he surprised me. Just rocked up like a week before the fight. I was like, oh shit, I can't lose now. Like, so we went got a good win. Declan Kelly was a good opponent. He's pretty tall, so he put up a good fight too. And then the support that we had at that fight was like, as in when I say we had, it was me and my missus. Like we had Australians, South Africans, New Zealand people, like just all like band tables and band tickets and band supporter T-shirts, and and my dad was there. He's sitting crying and shit, and I'm going, what's going on? So no, it was a great night. That was a class night.
Tell me, obviously, I guess you'd already suffered, you'd already suffered defeat before that stage. Like suffering defeat as a pro compared to suffering defeat as an amateur, was it harder for you to take? Because like you'd obviously went, what were you, 8-0 before you took your first defeat, like as a pro. So it was obviously a good
Yeah,
few years since you'd
yeah, it was
suffered probably defeat. Like was it tougher as a pro to suffer defeat, or were you used to it?
like not used not used to it. It was different because like as an amateur, you go home and everybody forgets about it. But like every time you see anyone walking past, obviously we've been here going on 6 years now, so we know a lot of people around the community and stuff. So when I'm walking past or something, and they're always like going, "Oh, so, oh, seen you lost. What's next?" And you're like you get that reminding every day, like, and you're going, "Oh shit, that's a bit different." Whereas an amateur, it's like you lose, sure, you're fighting back in the gym again, training a couple of weeks, and you're back fighting again. But
That's all
apart from
part and parcel, isn't it? It's all the
that,
experience, you know. As they always say, that old thing. It's only a loss if you don't learn from it, and you know, for every loss, if you can learn, and particularly, you know, you'd suffered defeat twice before you then won a title. Like that, obviously makes it more rewarding. You know that could have went one or two ways for you. You went, you know what, you know, and as you say, where you're sort of getting that second stage, you go, well, just come home. You obviously win your title, and you go that belief and that hard work and putting a wee bit extra in the gym or doing
yeah,
that slightest wee thing different is now.
like don't get me wrong, if you didn't have losers as an amateur, you wouldn't know what way to deal with it. But losing as a pro, and like the middleweight division over here, super welterweight middleweight division over here, it's not easy. Like everybody's coming to win. But it was the night the other night was pretty good because that puts me up to number 2 in Australia now. So I'm like, yeah, it's not bad. Sweet.
For you then, obviously, is it going back and obviously revisiting obviously that Australian title then is that the focus then again, they go at that again, or you know you're probably still in the process of getting over the last fight and getting back to winning ways before you think of what's next?
Nah, there's straight away to go again, like for the Australian title. After I lost that face to Bryce McLaughlin, I didn't know until about I fought him in November, I think it was, and then by February they told me that he was retired.
Is
So I
he
was like,
retired now, has he?
"Oh, he's retired, he's finished." And I was like, and then I bumped into him, and I went to a Muay Thai event in the city, and then I bumped into him, and then I was like, "Take a rematch." He's like, "Nah, I'm retired. I'm done." So, but then I didn't know that he gave the belt up straight away as soon as after the fight. So the belt became vacant again. And I was like, but obviously I needed time to sit down and regroup and reset to get over that loss because it was a big loss. And so I hope to be out by the end of the year. If the title's vacant and I can fight anybody in the top 10, top 5 for the title, I'll do it.
It's it's probably tough for you in a way with the fact that you're going because like suffering a first round defeat for the title as well. It's sort of that thing we see it so often. The first round you're not warmed up properly. You're sort of still adjusting the ring and these things happen. Like that wasn't a true account of yourself in that fight, and you can't get a chance to show in a rematch now with Bryce that could happen. I guess in time, if your team contacts him and goes, here's the money we're going to offer you, blah blah blah, whatever the fight, he might decide to come back. But like for you,
Nah, he'll not do it
he'll
because
not do it.
he'll not do it. I think he's happy working for his family. Have a big business and stuff over here, so he's happy working for them. But yeah. So whenever I lost that there, it was sort of a big thing for me to try and get over. Sitting down with myself and regrouping, and like you're asking yourself, do you keep going? Do you go get a job? Do you? So, but yeah, we got back in anyway. Got a win, and it's a good night.
You've obviously 14 fights now. They actually still haven't uploaded, on BoxRec. They still haven't uploaded your one last week yet. So it still shows you as 10-3, but you're 11-3 now. I guess probably the big burning desire is like, would you like to come back home and fight? Like, is that still a dream? Is that a reality for you? Can that happen, or are you just sort of focused primarily on Australia?
Nah, there's been like Michael Conlan and Jimmy Conlan have messaged me a couple of times about a fight back home, and thanks very much to them for offering me to. And it's just making the right time, right opponent. We don't know which opponent is going to be right. Obviously, they're not. I'm not with the same management team and all that. But I genuinely believe that there's a fight back home in the horizon.
So you'd like to get a fight back home at some stage. I guess that's
Oh, it'd be
you're
some
probably
crack walking. It'd be some crack walking out, wouldn't it?
you probably don't feel hopefully I'm not discrediting anybody in Australia, but probably wouldn't feel like a pro probably until you fight. If you fought in Belfast or whatever, like there's nothing beats an Irish crowd, and thankfully you have obviously a good following and stuff in Australia, but it's not the same as like there's people obviously sometimes some of your fights, like last week, it's very hard to get for people to watch. So like there's no better thing than people actually be able to go, I can do it at a normal time, it's used to me, and I can actually watch it in person. Like you probably get giddy and you're probably in band by legs, sort of walking out going, why am I feeling like this?
Oh, see, walking out, I reckon the atmosphere would be unreal because I didn't realize like the support I had back home when I went back home last year, and the feeling would be unreal. But like I can't thank like them and like the likes of Michael Conlan, Jamie Conlan and stuff offering me a fight back home and enough because I didn't realize the support I have obviously coming here to Australia. You sort of think, have you ditched Ireland or have you left everyone back home? Everyone starts to sort of forget about you and stuff. But for being offered the likes of them fights is like I'm very grateful and I'm just waiting on the right opportunity because I think whenever I get offered them fights, I might have lost the downhill of the Australian title and I was like, oh, it's not the right time. I need to sort of get back on the horse again and then go back home for a homecoming event.
It's one of them, and probably once you do it as well, then that's going to burn the desire probably more in the head and go, I want to just stay here, it's like, and that'll just get your
Yeah.
head going again. You'll be going, I fought in Belfast, say that, for instance, say it was SSE, I fought in the SSE arena. How can I go back to Australia? And then it's probably then going, how can we get the dogs from Australia back to Belfast? It would probably hurt and do a lot of things mentally to you. The fact of going, how can I make, how can I relocate back? But say it's something that's probably a dream that you still want to accomplish.
That's actually good. Like hitting the nail on the head there. I didn't actually think about that before until you said there about going back home and having that kind of big venue and then coming back here and sort of where's that kick on? But I have a feeling that when I do go back home and I do have a fight back home and I do win, coming back here is gonna boost me on. So it'll like sort of make me come back over here. It'll be like another homecoming thing, another bigger event again. So it'll be sort of like a blessing in disguise.
There's quite, and I've sort of mentioned obviously most of the Irish boxers sort of out there. Like it just seems to be like, there's quite a contingent of Irish boxers. As I say, it's been there. I think maybe Dennis might be finished now, obviously, unless obviously gets a really good offer. You TJ there that obviously fought for obviously undisputed. Darragh Foley sort of back and forth. Tara will
So
obviously have a fight in Australia, and then obviously he fought Pierce O'Leary here in Belfast. It seems to be there's a really, really good mix of Irish fighters. It'd be obviously a great dream to obviously have, nearly a full Irish card in Australia. There's that many fighters now. You could probably put one card together just full of Irish
yeah,
fighters.
we could do it 100%. We could do it 100%, and I reckon the atmosphere would be 10 times better. And the people that would come, it would be like a drinking session for them. It wouldn't just be sitting going to watch a fight. So we could do it. It's something on the cards.
It's like, do you still keep a good interest, obviously, in back home, obviously, in Irish boxing? Obviously, I know we're a couple of days out now from another Belfast man, Anto Cacace, obviously fighting in Wembley. Like, do you think of
Yeah,
a West Belfast fighter fighting in Wembley Arena in front of 96,000 people? Like, it really is a stuff of dreams.
it's absolutely crazy. I remember watching him when he beat Joe Cordina. I was like, a lot of people sort of wrote him off and all that, and he just cruised it, and he had a fantastic win. And I think this weekend's going to be another great fight for him.
Definitely. Well, it's remarkable. Obviously, I get very, very close to Anto, and to see what he's
Yeah,
been
because
through.
he'd live about 10 minutes away from me back home.
It's
Like
like for
down
what
the
his
road.
career's been through. Like, can you sort of? I know I keep saying this to everybody, but where you've had your trials and tribulations, sort of, but you can see what Anto's been through for years. Like, had a fight, 18 months, no fight. You know, Obviously just over 2 years ago. Obviously supposed to fight in Wembley in fight week. They called it off. They got perseverance. He just kept going and showing that hard work and determination can still get you to where you want to go to.
Yeah, it's just having a great. It's having a sort of like hard mindset, like just a mindset, and just keep on regrouping and going, just pushing on, because it'll come. Like it'll come if you're determined on it. It'll come, and overwriting stuff, and like boxing's changed now, whereas like years and years ago it would have been like if you had had a loss, you were done. Now it's like you have a loss, you're not done. Like it's you can come back again and all that there. But don't get me wrong, if you lose again, it's not going to be nice on your own head. So, but and then you really see the real people that sort of stick by you and want to support you and all that. But boxing's changed a lot since back then, and Anto's thriving at the minute. Like you never see an anytime man walking about with 2 world titles, getting his face painted on the side of a wall. So
It's crazy.
it's unreal.
Where do you sort of, where do you sort of put your goals, other than probably Belfast, like where do you sort of see, the rest of your sort of career? Like, do you sort of have like a goal in mind of where you would want to get to level sort of ways in boxing? Like where, I guess sometimes.
Obviously everybody wants to get to the world level, and we're going to do that. But you have to sort of put yourself in line, and anybody can get to the world title if they work hard enough. So you work hard enough and you want to get there, you'll get it. And I genuinely believe if I worked hard enough and put the head down, I would get it. But you just need like the pro game is a lot different. It's not just like you have a fight booked in, that's go. It's like you have to sort of figure out the opponent. You're figuring out obviously you get paid, you're figuring out your money, you're figuring out like you got a lot of sponsors to keep happy, you got everyone to keep happy, and just as long as, in my head, as long as the boxer's happy and his life's happy, that's the main thing. And you look after him.
I was going to say it's brutal. Boxing's brutal in that way. The fact that, like, there's probably times you've obviously boxed as a pro and you've made nothing out of it. You've times you've probably been out money. You probably had to put money towards things. Like, it's crazy, and particularly when you're on the other side of the world. Like, you're nearly sort of having to rely on the friendships that you and your missus and other ones in the gym have helped, to create the sort of thing that you have. Like, if you were back home, you'd sell 200 tickets easy, and you'd have extra money sort of left at times. Like, you probably have to thank a lot of people in Australia for where you've currently got to in the sport.
Exactly. That's what I was saying about how lucky we are to have the people who sort of came in and helped us out the long way. And that's what I mean about helping us out, who've supported us and backed us from day one, like just getting off the boat and not having nobody here. So, and maybe being Irish helps because they like following us and like on the watches, and they just genuinely like the people we are.
Well, look, obviously, I know the time is just about to run out, but obviously, hopefully, it's going to be the first of many obviously interviews we do. Obviously, as you get fight news and everything else like that, finally we can say that we've spoken, we've done an interview. Obviously, we're not just putting fight news out for you now. We're actually hearing about your story. But I want to thank you for your time. Obviously, I know it's nearly 8 o'clock there. Is it nearly 8 o'clock in the evening for you now?
Yeah, it's 7:45 now.
Nearly 8 o'clock in the evening. Obviously, I was going to say,
we'll bounce between 9 hours and 10 hours.
It'll soon change next month. But look, Nathan, obviously, I want to thank you for your time. Obviously, I hope you do get some fight news soon. And I'm sure, no doubt, we'll catch up with you very soon as well.
100%, Steve. Thanks very much for the interview. It was great to finally catch up.
Definitely. You too, Nathan. Speak to you soon.
See you later, mate.
Yes, thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.